A couple other things you can do with RenderDoc besides look at the API calls and contents of buffers is you can debug pixel and vertex shaders. So I'm going to load up my application here real quick. Hit F12 to cap. Okay. So what I've got going on rendering here is I've got a geometry pass that renders a few things to different render targets, and then it's drawing this cube that I've got. And then I have another draw call that's drawing a full screen quad. So I've got two draw calls. And so, for example, on this the second draw call here, I can debug a pixel shader by um, obviously clicking on the draw index call, but then under texture viewer, and then I can right click one of the pixels, and then now down here over on the right side in the inputs and outputs, there's a pixel context, and I can click debug. It'll take me down here to my pixel shader, and this has your normal debugging functionality. You can hit F10 to step over or F11 to step into. So I've stepped into my get debuffer attributes function here. You can step through, and you've got, like I can see the value of this normal calculation here down in the debug view. There's this high level variables, and there's even a watch where you can add things. And over to the left of that, there's constants and resources, so it's showing me all the things that are bound in the values. I can see like my light data that's in a constant buffer. I can see what the values are there. Okay, so that's the pixel buffer, or that's the pixel shader. So the other thing we can do is we can go over to the mesh viewer, and here it's got the vertices, but I can just right click on one and hit debug this vertex, and that takes me into my vertex shader, which for this pass there's not much going on in my vertex shader, so it's not that exciting. But up here for my geometry pass, that one would be a little more interesting at least. Debug this vertex. So here, you can check the results of your your worldview worldview projection matrix calculations and texture coordinates. Yep, that's pretty useful. You actually get some insight into what's happening in your shaders. It's not just a black box once you start looking into it with RenderDoc.